last week you weren't here, John.
Yes.
And now this week we've got no Ben Pye. So really, I just want you to tell me, like, what's going on? Like, is there something I should know about? Are you two beefing or something?
I think it's something to do with your BO, to be really honest.
My BO?
Possibly.
My BO?
Possibly.
I mean...
I was working in inverted commas last week.
The tables have turned. I was expecting us to really wail on Ben there, but you just kind of like hit me with the BO stuff.
All right.
So, I mean, yeah, Ben isn't here this week. He's got a job. Boo. Wow. I mean, whoever would hire him, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's a different person when he's not here.
Maybe
he's just a completely different person.
You can put a mask on and just nothing like what we see him.
Yeah. I mean, good for him anyway. But he's not here.
Nope.
So we don't have that nerdy knowledge. Johnny's here, though.
I'm nerdy in my own little way.
Introduce yourself again, John, just in case people have forgotten who you are.
Hello, I'm John. I'm one of the original hosts on this show, and it's nice to be back.
So, in a slightly different format than you used to, John.
Yes.
But we are still the Writer's Block.
Yes.
We're still on Pulse Radio, and we are also now on YouTube as well, so you'll be seeing us there. But we're going to go straight into this week's entertainment news.
Yes.
So, first of all, everyone will know about this little thing. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's called the Super Bowl.
What's that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's like a sport thing.
Oh, isn't that the one with all the trailers, which you have to pay like £2 million to put on?
No. Oh yeah, it's the thing with the trailers, and then around it there's something else.
And there was Popstar.
Yeah, there's a Popstar, which the Simpsons predicted that,
didn't they?
didn't they?
Did it again, Simpsons.
They did it again with the Lady Gaga.
I swear, they probably have to be careful now not to write anything that could actually happen. Don't write a nuclear war, please. Could actually happen.
Yeah. I mean, we're starting to believe they're prophesizing powers now. The Simpsons, we bow down to you as our eternal overlords. But okay, the Super Bowl.
Yes.
TV spots, we had so much stuff. I mean, more stuff that's come out. But one of the big ones for me, Stranger Things Season 2 trailer. It was more of a teaser. It wasn't really a TV spot. We had TV spots for stuff like Ghost in the Shell, which got a good kind of like reception. We had loads of different stuff. I mean, we think about Super Bowls of the past, and the kind of like big, like TV spots that we've had. I mean,
Independence Day's one.
Independence
Day. Massive one. That was the one people got really excited about just from that film, because it was the pre-internet days.
Yeah.
It was not a franchise film, but people got excited just from the Super Bowl. So it's a big powerhouse to get your trailer on there.
I mean, it still is, even though with the like you said, that was pre-internet. Yeah. Now with the internet, with that little magical box that we all have sitting on our desk.
And Stranger Things trailer got 11.9 million views within, I think, 12 hours on YouTube, on Facebook.
Jeez.
Just from the Super Bowl. I have not seen Stranger Things, but I know of it, and I need to see it. I know. I don't have Netflix.
I'm currently doing like a Christ compels you, like I'm making a crucifix with my fingers, but
I'm melting.
That is so. Yeah,
I will
Stranger
watch
Things.
It. I'll binge it with season 1 when I get Netflix after uni.
That's a good idea, because Netflix do a very, very good. They do a very good thing where they upload it as a series and not just episodes. So you have to. I think that's better. What are your views on binge watching?
Well, it's a little bit based on what we're going to talk about later. What I'm watching now.
Okay.
Just a quick one. I'm watching No Offense to Women on Channel 4, and waiting 1 week for each episode is painful. Binge watching is the way forward. But we'll talk about that another time. Right now, so Stranger Things season 2. Other TV spots was Guardians of the Galaxy. Volume 2, which I'm very excited about.
I mean, everyone loves Guardians of the Galaxy. It was kind of like one of the standout Marvel productions for its kind of just quirkiness, and
it's quite unexpected. It's hit its success, because it wasn't riding off a massively well-known comic compared to Iron Man. It was just its own thing. But the music's great. I think Chris Pratt's character's fantastic. The little squirrel, what's he called? The little one?
Rocket.
He's the cutest little thing. He's so
he's so deadly and ferocious.
I know, but you just want to cuddle him.
But Baby Groot now. He's the cuddly one.
Oh, that's the one. Baby Groot now.
Baby Groot.
It's Rocket, Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
And the little ones, in the original trailer, it starts to create. It can't press a button.
Yeah.
He's cute.
Yeah, he's cute.
Lovely.
But trailers. Now, this is kind of a bit of a Pandora's box, really, because I know some people are very kind of like protective of their trailers.
Yes.
But some people have the kind of like the adverse reaction to that, where they kind of just they abstain from viewing any kind of like they don't look at posters, they don't look at any kind of like pre-production materials because they're that excited and they think that actually watching trailers or they think that today's trailers they give too much away.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Do you agree with that?
I completely agree with that, actually. I watched a film trailer, I think it was before Christmas, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and it gave so much away.
Yeah.
It gave so much away, and I was like, well, the problem is you anticipate the clips happening. And another thing to about promotional material was I was saying yesterday, 10 Cloverfield Lane, the DVD cover. On the back of DVD covers, obviously, there's images from the film. And there was an image from the DVD cover of that movie, 10 Cloverfield Lane, from the last scene.
Yeah.
So you anticipate what it's going to happen, and it ruins it. So I do agree with people saying they don't watch the trailers.
Yeah, so do you think that there's too much given away, really, in a trailer?
I think it just needs to be the basic premise. It should be what we always say about a synopsis, or a logline. Logline has to just give who the main character is, what they want, what's stopping them from getting it, and that's all it needs to do. But one thing I think we mentioned on the show a couple weeks ago, La La Land. I saw the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer for La La Land gave nothing away.
What's the word? It wasn't very clear what it was about.
It was very like ephemeral. It was kind of. It didn't really.
I didn't even. It
just kind of like enchanted you, and you were kind of like, whatever that is, I want to watch it.
Yeah.
I was literally trying to remember what it was that I was thinking, oh my god, I've seen a trailer for something recently, and it gave nothing away about the story or any of the characters or anything, and it was La La Land, like you just said.
The only trailer I've ever seen years ago was where it gave a lot away but didn't ruin the film was Simpsons movie. It had all the funny moments, but then when I saw the film, there was even more funny moments. Ted gave all the funny moments in the 3-minute trailer.
Yeah, well, that's Ted for you, really. That's Seth MacFarlane. I don't. That's a debate.
That's for another time.
That's for another time.
But other trailers that were out on the Super Bowl was Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Dead Man's Tale. I think
Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Dead Men Tell No Tales. It's a new one. I love Curse of the Black Pearl. I think it's a great film. The sequels I liked when I was a kid for the style over substance.
Yeah.
They're not good now. The last one on Stranger Tide was quite good. Better, but nowhere near as good as the original. The 5th one... Have you seen the trailer?
No.
I watched it this morning, and it's fine. It just feels like more of the same.
I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean is fun.
It's a great film.
That's about it, really.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. You
Jack Sparrow's a fantastic
wind down. Like, you don't really have to think too much.
But there's something that with a good story and fun, but then there's, like I say, style of a substance business.
But yeah, I mean, some people that have that really strong adverse reaction to trailers. But I think they miss the point is that going to the movies or watching a film is more than kind of just like getting these big reveal moments. It's an experience, isn't it? Like you experience going to watch a movie. Yeah. And also, I don't think trailers will change because they're meeting people's expectations. Like people expect to, or they kind of like enter a trailer and they're like, oh, I hope they show us this.
Yes, exactly.
And then they get shown it and they're so happy, and that just, the hype train is chugging along.
Well, I'll never forget the first time we all saw Force Awakens. We were in the same room, weren't we? All together, and that didn't give a lot away as it shouldn't. That it gave a sense of who the heroes were, who the villains were, but then it just gave the feeling of there's a new Star Wars movie. And I'm sure Last Jedi will do the same.
There's a shark outside, John.
What? Oh God!
Can you see? Well,
it's someone with a massive.
There's someone with a massive shark head on. He looks quite threatening, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Maybe. Yeah. There's some of the things we see in the this SU, crazy. But I mean, the Super Bowl was alright. Do you know who won? Did the trailers win? I think we won because we saw a lot of good stuff.
Who played? Are you talking about the football or the actual Super Bowl? Because I have no idea about the football.
The actual Super Bowl, who won?
I have no idea. I don't even know who's playing.
Yeah.
Sorry to say that.
A team.
Team
won.
A team won. Yeah.
Sport.
But no, I always wait for the ads.
Okay.
And then...
So, branching off that, trailers, we're going to talk about posters. So, one of the posters I saw last week while I was planning the itinerary for this show was Kong Skull Island. It wasn't it was the Western release for Kong Skull Island, and it channeled a very Apocalypse Now view. If anyone knows, the iconic scene from Apocalypse Now of the helicopters riding through or flying through like the sun setting. That is essentially legit what that poster is, with King Kong's face kind of there roaring. So, of course, Kong is written by Michael Dougherty, and he's probably widely known for working on Bryan Singer films like X2, Superman Returns. And he's joined by Zach Shields, who is going to write Godzilla 2 King of Monsters.
It's the Monsterverse. I've just learnt this. Oh,
that's what it is, isn't it? You can tell that already, can't you? Is that they've got 2 writers working on King Kong, who will then be working on Godzilla 2 King of Monsters. So it's going to be it's going to be like monsters and just think of monsters versus aliens.
Well, Godzilla versus King Kong is due for release in 2020.
Is it?
Yeah. Which they did years ago. They did years ago, but I'm sure now it'll be even better.
But yeah, so that it was a nice poster.
It was. It looked very kind of old. It looked like the kind of posters that would have been.
It's
made
quite minimalist. It was quite pegged back in its visual aesthetics. I mean, you like a particular set of posters, don't you?
I love all posters pre 1995. Every poster from beginning of cinema to 1995, ironically the year we were born. We ruined everything. The posters were like almost like artwork paintings. Almost. They're like the stuff you see in an art gallery. Then afterwards, they had actual like photos that were photoshopped into the background scenes, and it just looks naff now. But yeah, the old style are really cool. In fact, I showed you just before the show, Empire Magazine just released the Japanese poster for Kong Skull Island, and it looks like an old poster, but it's Kong's face, and there's all
it's like
flying,
it's quite explosive colours,
mountains, helicopters, and
everything you'd expect from like a King Kong film.
Fantastic. Does it for me? Sold it for me on that one.
I mean, it's very different to the Apocalypse Now kind of looking one, which was quite pegged back in its.
I think a good poster is one that you can parody for years to come. So if you think of something like, I don't know, Jaws, for example, it's the shark in the ocean, in the water, and the girls floating up on top. That's been done now by
basically
Simpsons. If the Simpsons can parody it, you've got an iconic poster.
Basically, what John's trying to say is that if you can make a meme out of it, it's good.
Yes, that's exactly
if it can generate memes, if it's meme worthy, then you've struck gold.
Yeah,
well
that's
done.
Totally that.
But yeah, Kong Skull Island, Zach Shields, Michael Dougherty.
Have you seen the new Alien Covenant poster?
No.
Background of it's just complete black. The alien face comes out, just a little green light just showing the face, and the tagline is "Run." And I was like,
it's so simple, but yet so effective.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of using that prior knowledge of the franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah. Did you see the original Godzilla? If we're going into not the original, but the one that was
Godzilla,
the recent
with Bryan Cranston,
kind of who was in it for
no time at all. I saw bits of it. I haven't seen all of it, but I have seen bits of it.
It's a good film.
It's a good film, actually. I mean, I'm not into monster stuff. And the original, the Godzilla from 1998 by Roland Emmerich, who from Independence Day is dreadful, so it did put me off it. But no, the new one's quite good, and I think, to be honest, if Kong Skull Island's any good, the Godzilla vs King Kong will be fine, as long as it doesn't turn to Alien vs Predator, which is dreadful. That
noughties Godzilla that you mentioned.
Oh yeah,
that's the one with Jamiroquai. It had Jamiroquai do the Deeper Underground for that.
The soundtrack.
Well, he released do you not remember the video for Deeper Underground? And Godzilla was attacking the cinema. And do you remember that?
Kind of it's bringing flashbacks.
Because I was going to say, because Ben's Jamiroquai's biggest fan. He was trying to get me so much to play Jamiroquai last episode. I was like, no, we're not playing Jamiroquai. So he's a massive fan. Yeah. And whenever he mentions Jamiroquai, I just sing Deeper Underground because it's his most well-known thing. Yeah. And Ben, deep down, is a massive hipster.
Yes.
Deep down.
I remember the King Kong noughties version. I liked it, except I've said before to you that the scenes on Skull Island just went on for longer than it needed to. Once the dinosaurs are fine. Once the slugs came around, I just thought it's turning into Alien now. No, let's just move on.
Well, we mentioned this last week, actually. Well, you wouldn't. I'll have to fill you in on this one, John. But last week we talked about Paul Thomas Anderson because Ben likes Paul Thomas Anderson. Actually, I like Paul Thomas Anderson too because he did one of my favourite films, There Will Be Blood. He's just added 2 actresses to his untitled, it sounds very ominous, doesn't it? His untitled next film.
Yeah.
So that's Lesley Manville and Vicky Krieps. Lesley Manville, the only credit I could find for her, like film, like AAA film, where there was Maleficent.
Who'd she play in that?
I can't tell you. And the other lady, Vicky Krieps, TV mostly.
So basically, he's going to make a film with unknowns, casting unknowns in a new film.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
I mean,
really brave.
There is just adding more faces to this new unnamed movie. We know nothing about it, but if it's Paul Thomas Anderson, we can expect some kind of brooding drama.
Yes.
Well, for any fans out there, I don't think we've talked about John Wick on this show. Have you seen John Wick? So it's from the guys who did the choreography for The Matrix.
Oh yes.
So essentially, it's a revenge story with Keanu Reeves, who plays a hitman or an assassin, who gets wronged by. Ironically, it's the ginger guy from Game of Thrones.
Is it Iwan Rion or something?
No, it's not Iwan Rion. It's he's one of the. No, it's what's he from? I've forgotten the name of the family, but basically he's wronged by him, and it's a revenge story. But what it is it was a very good and explosive action movie, and it had some very good kind of like modern cinematographic takes on martial arts, or it was kind of more like gun fu, which is like using guns in it was almost like a dance. It was very well choreographed. And they're working on John Wick Chapter 2 right now, which is set to come out pretty damn soon. And Chad Stahelski, who is directing Chapter 2, had this to say about a future additions to the series. And he said that Lionsgate is very interested in doing a John Wick TV show, and that seems very appealing to us to give those creative ideas to that entity, because I think in TV you could really expand on what that is, and greater than we could in just a 2-hour film.
I like that. I would love Keanu Reeves to be into John Wick TV show, because I am sick of TV series based on films where they just get complete different actors, and more actors doing it now. One thing I read the other day that this year actresses are doing more TV than film. So Meryl Streep's doing a TV show, Nicole Kidman's doing a TV series.
Tom Hardy's doing Taboo.
Tom Hardy's done Taboo. It's definitely becoming a new medium for the actors. One time TV was sort of the second
second fiddle
film was the main thing, but TV's better now.
I mean, what do you think about that, though, what they've said about... Because I think this works both ways, really, is that they want to give those creative ideas to that entity, because I think in TV you can really expand on what is, and greater than we could in just a 2-hour film. I think, it has its positives, but it also has its negatives as well, because the directions, I think, are completely different. In a film, you have this kind of like finite area to tell a really closely knit story, and it really encourages writers and directors to be quite economical.
Yes.
And really kind of like get to them big moments sooner.
Yes. TV, you can sort of have more breathing space.
Yeah, and with something like John Wick, which is just explosive action all the time.
Yeah. Like
when it comes to TV, what we're going to get, like, I know Ben would hate it because he loves, he doesn't want to be seeing like a slow burning, like dramatic love arc going under John Wick, the TV series.
I think the show that I always think about in terms of being able to explore different areas is Breaking Bad. Because I think if that idea was a film, firstly I think it would have to be a trilogy, but it would be quite action based. It has to be very action based, but there's a lot of episodes in Breaking Bad where it's just character studies. There's a two-hander episode where it's just two characters talking, but it reveals a lot of the characters. I think it will depend on, with the John Wick's fan base, how much what they like from the films and what they're willing to accept. Because as you say, a TV show will be quite a different beast. They can't have action constantly. Yeah, it has to be there has to be slow moments. There may even have to be one episode each season, or however long they go on for, where it's just a character study. Yeah, and I don't think. It depends how they do it, because you think of like highly action based TV shows. Generally, they don't do as well as the kind of like the slow burning like dramas like Breaking Bad, because they are, you can do them. They have different
opportunities for you to explore the characters and stuff.
I suppose I think it's good, and also down to keeping the original crew and writers on it, so that there isn't a kind of jarring in characterization of the character and the story in the background, just so that it can be a continuation rather than just another entity, a reboot.
You seen June?
I've got it in my David Lynch box set, and I know Kyle MacLachlan, who's a regular David Lynch collaborator, is in it. I'm aware of it. I know it's being remade. I haven't seen it though. To answer your question, that was a very long-winded answer. Have you seen it?
So I have seen it, and it's kind of like credited as one of like Lynch's like only kind of like failure, or kind of like he didn't really do it justice, or he didn't manage to quite put his Lynch stamp on it as well as he did.
Isn't it? It's based on a book.
It's based on a book. It's based on like a space opera book. So they are very in-depth worlds that he needs to kind of like put into a film.
Yeah.
And it didn't, like, some people state that it didn't get the love or the kind of like the Lynch stamp, like I said, that some of his other work did.
Well, Lynch's stuff is very, 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 very depraved, yeah. And it's depraved. It's weird stuff. I love David Lynch though. I think it's very different. From what I've seen, it's very different to his kind of films.
Yeah, it was a departure for him.
It was not, it's not Twin Peaks. I think it'll be interesting I think it sounds like something they should do on TV.
Yeah.
Sounds more like a TV series.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's been picked up, the remake's been picked up by Villeneuve, Denis Villeneuve, the director who did Arrival.
Oh,
and is doing Blade Runner 2049. So
that would be good.
It's in good hands.
Yes.
Hopefully, because Arrival was critically acclaimed for its way that it dealt with a massive kind of like alien arrival, like a massive linchpin moment in human future or then history for them or the present or whatever. And he dealt with it in a very humane and personal way that really kind of like, this is what science fiction is about.
Yeah.
This is big things affecting little people.
That's it.
And he did that really well. And Blade Runner 2049, we're hoping he can do more of the same. And he may well end up, if he does, Arrival's been a success. Blade Runner 2049, if he nails that, and then he goes on to reinvent Dune, Dan, we're looking at like the science fiction, this generation science fiction mastermind, who'll go on to no doubt make more brilliant things.
Yeah, I think that'll be really good. I think Lynch, to be really honest, I don't think is the type of person right for big concept science fiction.
Yeah.
His stuff's a lot more grounded in, well, I say grounded in reality. It's grounded on Earth, but it's more sort of abstract and surreal to everyday people, and that's where it works. I can't imagine him doing a good job with a big world, to be honest. I do love David Lynch.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen much of his stuff. I've seen Eraserhead. But yeah.
Lord,
so
that's a headache, that film. But I love it.
Yeah, it was it's Frank Herbert's cult science fiction novel, so it is a culty thing. So he tried to break into something that already had a massive kind of like fan base already.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's been put off for many years doing a reboot, because Lynch didn't get it right.
Yeah. That's
the problem though, when you've got a following, a real fan base that are dedicated and committed to seeing it, that if you don't get it right first time, they're not going to be welcoming.
I mean, it seems like whoever tackles this is going to have a difficult time, because
it's a crazy idea and it's all over the place.
Yeah, it's
big worlds, and I mean, I know a lot about it.
Lynch's take on it, he just in trying to condense it, he just kind of like removed characters and removed events that happened. He can't really get away with that.
No. But it was a different era, the 80s.
Yeah. Because
Star Wars had been around, Alien had been around, sci-fi was having a bit of comeback. If it was a TV show, it would have been awful, let's be honest.
Yeah. They might have gotten away with it in a TV series, though, without getting rid of all the characters, and then people would have been far more receiving to it.
But we'd have to have a reboot now anyway, because the TV show would be really sort of dated in terms of special effects.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Stuff. So either way, it's probably working out for the best, how it's coming.
Okay, so that's not what you're watching, but you will be watching eventually. So you've already mentioned what you've been watching.
Yes.
So go on then.
So No Offence is...
He's got a big grin on his face. He loves it.
It's on Channel 4 every week, Wednesday night, 9 o'clock. It's effectively a cop show. It's written by Paul Abbott, who everyone knows from Shameless, and he also wrote episodes of Cracker and many other dramas. It's a very different kind of cop show. It's not like the sort of gentle sort of stuff you see on ITV or the sort of two-part drama you see on BBC. It is a really absurd series, really. It's set around Manchester, around a police squad, and run by Detective Viv. Now, Viv is one of the funniest characters I've seen in a long time. I'd say she's like, not like a sitcom character, but she's as funny as the best sitcom characters. In fact, I would say the show has more funny moments than most sitcoms. It's blackly comical.
That says a lot about sitcoms, doesn't it?
I know. It's blackly comical. A lot of people might consider the show a spoof, but it's not. It is grounded within reality, but the humour comes between the relationships between the police officers, the banter between them. They are absolutely hysterical, and the cases they investigate are so dark. I mean, really dark. Last season there was investigating a serial killer who targeted people with Down syndrome. So it isn't a difficult show to watch, but it's not an easy show to watch. But it's very much the humour comes between the characters, not from the cases. And I think it makes it more bearable. But they're all flawed characters. They all make mistakes. But at the end of the day, they do their job. It's a lot of police people in the police do say it's a very accurate depiction of the policing world, because to be in that job, you have to deal with the dark side of humanity, and it's not becoming totally desensitized, but you have to try and find ways of not letting your emotions take over. And I think the show shows it really well. Really funny show. It's second season now. It's episode 7 tomorrow night, or episode 6. It's nearly come to the end of its second season, but recommend you watching the first second series and binge watch it, because as I say, watching it week after week is unbearable. It's been painful this last week.
Just waiting, just sitting there waiting, like, oh my god,
I even I never watch the next times of any TV show because it gives too much away, but I wanted just to give myself a bit of a fill, even though I didn't, I would still wait.
Well, what am I watching? I mean, this weekend, or the last weekend, I watched Les Mis, the DVD version.
Have you seen the film before?
Yes, I have. Rachel wanted to watch it again. Yes, she loves it. But yeah, we had a good laugh at Russell Crowe singing again, because and there's a bit where the Hugh Jackman character, Jean Valjean, he's kind of like had his reform, and he's now the mayor of this French town. And when Javert comes to investigate, saying that we're not entirely sure whether he suspects the mayor to be who it is, but basically he arrives in this town, and just as he's about to kind of like realise who Jean Valjean is, who Hugh Jackman is, a man falls under his cart that he's carrying, because obviously this is in kind of like Renaissance France, post-revolution France, and this man gets caught under his cart, and Hugh Jackman's character, being the kind of like the reformed religious man he is now, he goes to help him, and he lifts up he uses his signature strength to lift the cart up, and he does it in such a way that is reminiscent of the first scene where Javert tells him to retrieve the flag, and he lifts up a pole exactly the same way he lifts up this cart to save this man. And that kind of triggers Javert to be like, oh my god, this is the guy I'm after, this is the... and because it's such a dramatic moment, both of these actors sing their lines just so out of tune. It's incredible. But you know what? I didn't care one bit.
Yeah.
A lot of that is done out, but surprising, Anne Hathaway got a beautiful voice.
She's got a great voice. Because didn't they film it so they actually sung it out loud? Whereas usually they musical films record it in the studio and lip sync.
Sometimes, yeah.
They actually filmed it, sung it.
Yeah, and an interesting tidbit of information about Anne Hathaway, which came from Rachel apparently, is that she didn't drink for 2 days, or she didn't drink any water for 2 days, or a day before that, so she looked like she was at death's door.
She does, to be fair, look in that film.
Yeah, like that hollow cheek kind of look, and flushed out.
That's method acting to another extreme.
Yeah, that's what I was watching. I've also been watching Community ongoing, which is a fantastic sitcom. done by the Russo brothers who do Marvel films now. They do Captain America films. And everyone always says like how good they are at doing genre stuff. Like in Community, I've forgotten, I think there's 5 seasons. So I've watched 2 seasons so far.
Yeah. And
they've already done a better zombie movie than I've seen at the cinema. A better, or a good Western.
Yeah.
A good post-apocalyptic film. A good romance. A good kind of like a Lost in Space kind of thing. A good kind of like conspiracy thriller, like a Jason Bourne kind of thing. They do all of these, but they do it in a sitcom format.
So do they do it as in like almost like The Simpsons and they do spoofs, or is it like within the world of the community?
It's within the community college, which is like a university, but for like, it's. I don't know how to explain it really because it's an American system, but they have like community colleges and then they have normal colleges, and the community colleges are usually looked down on, kind of a bit like a metropolitan university and a normal university.
Okay, right. Okay, I get you.
So basically, they do like these genre episodes within the confines of the sitcom. So the zombie one was basically it was Halloween, and the dean of the community college, trying to like save on money, went to the army like rations facility and picked up some kind of like irradiated snacks for them to eat at the buffet, and basically they got rabies and became zombies, and it turned into a zombie kind of like quest, or like and they really nailed the genre tropes, and it's still funny and hilarious.
I need to watch Community. That's made me want to watch it now.
Like I said, they've done a Western one. The one most recently, they did a stop motion claymation thing for a Christmas special.
Brilliant.
And it was really good. And Community has a very good way of kind of like, even though it's hilarious, like there's a gag a minute and you're just in stitches completely. Yeah. It does a very good job of kind of like really hitting home difficult messages with, because some of the characters, like one of them, my favourite, Arbed, he's got, I can't remember what his mental illness is or his mental disability. I think it might be dyspraxia or something, but he basically can't understand emotions.
Yeah. And
they turn that and he becomes a very funny character for it.
I would recommend, if you like Community, 30 Rock. Have you seen 30 Rock?
No.
It's very funny.
Right.
It's similar.
Is 30 Rock, they do sketches, don't they?
No, 30 Rock is the one about, it's set in the behind the scenes of a sketch show.
Okay.
Because you know Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
You know Tina Fey?
Mm-hmm.
Tina Fey worked on Saturday Night Live as a head writer, and so she did like a sort of fictional version of behind the scenes of a really bad sketch show, live, that goes out live. And if you love sort of like really fast-paced humour, a lot of gags, but also a lot of pop culture references.
Was it 30 Rock that they had Aaron Sorkin on? I think
they had lots of guest stars on 30 Rock. But
they had Aaron Sorkin on 30 Rock, and basically I don't think they knew who Aaron Sorkin was.
Yeah.
And basically, like he was saying, "Oh, you know my work."
Yes.
That kind of thing.
Oh yes, I remember that one. Carrie Fisher was on it as well, playing a fictional version of herself. It's a really funny. It's a great satire on TV industry of modern day culture. I miss it a lot, actually. It finished 4 years ago, and I really do miss it.
So basically, they meet Aaron Sorkin in kind of like a walk and talk sequence, and he says that writing's a dying art. I think it's very tongue in cheek because
very tongue in cheek.
I think the gag here is that people know who, like, people don't know who he is, but they know his work. Like you'd know Aaron Sorkin dialogue when you heard Aaron Sorkin dialogue, because it's very specific, isn't his type of dialogue. But so I think I have seen that episode actually. So I have seen 30 Rock.
You've seen it, but
seen
from the beginning, it's brilliant. It's really great. If you love Community, I think you'll like 30 Rock.
Yeah. So that's what we've been watching.
Yes.
What do you think Ben's been watching? Ben watched so much stuff. He actually consumed so much television and so much film.
Watching Riviera, hasn't he?
Oh, Riverdale.
I think it's been Riverdale or something with River in the title.
Yeah, Riverdale, because last episode or last week's show we did a little segment where he got a bit of dialogue from Riverdale and we acted it out.
Is it terrible?
It's bad. Yeah. Which we'll be uploading as a 5-minute clip to the YouTube. Which I'm hoping you'll like that, guys. But yeah, that's what he's been watching, and I'm hoping he's been doing his homework, because next week when he's back, we want to do some more role playing. I'm going to take my role back as Betty. He was actually, you're going to have to be Veronica, because I was Betty and Veronica.
Okay.
So,
oh God. Yes.
So yeah, we're going to have some fun with that.
That'd be good.
So I hope he's been watching that. So what do you know about the Chinese film industry?
I know very little about the Chinese film.
I
know it's very big.
Yeah.
It's I know that there's a lot of films that come out over there from Hollywood that don't do very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Star Wars didn't actually do Force Awakens didn't do very well over there.
But other films that do very, very well, strange films that do exceptionally well in China, which didn't do well here.
I've seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yep,
I've seen that. I know of House of Flying Daggers.
Yep.
Obviously, there's sort of like the martial arts film.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a film actually a long time ago. It was a Chinese film. It was a romantic comedy that I really enjoyed.
Right.
So I love foreign films.
Mm-hmm.
I love foreign films, and I think the Chinese industry is one I need to get more into.
So,
I love China.
The reason I'm bringing this up is because I stumbled across an interesting article on Time magazine, which basically give me the facts that China is on course to overtake Hollywood as the biggest box office hitter on the face of the globe. So basically, people, the Chinese film industry will be bigger than the American film industry soon, but that's only in terms of money. We talk about money here and not kind of like star power and the power to pull people to come and work for you. So I still think Hollywood will still have the ability to kind of like produce the bigger films, but China will be making the most money. That may be because of population or the amount of people who are going to these films.
Country.
But I mean, also, do you remember Jackie Chan got an Oscar?
Yes, he did.
Do you know what he said?
God.
He said when he got his Oscar, he said that they ask him, producers these days, they ask him, do you think the China audience will like this? So producers in America are asking Jackie Chan if he thinks that the China market will like their films. And he went on to say that all the writers, all the producers, they think about China. Now China is the center of everything. So, I mean, that's an interesting take, really. Is that, could it be that, we'll start to see, in an effort to kind of retain Hollywood's status as the biggest box office provider on the planet, will they be kind of trying to cater towards the Eastern market?
It's interesting you to say that, because actually whenever I read box office reports now, they do put emphasis on the Chinese market. They always say, it hasn't been released in China yet, which will be the big, which could be a difference between it being a
tipping point
or not. Yeah.
So, I mean,
I think that's brilliant. Actually, I think it's good.
I love Eastern culture.
Yes.
I think it's beautiful, like especially the feudal stuff. It's a really colourful and beautiful and very honourable and very culturally wealthy culture and country history. So I'd really like it, if like either we got more Chinese imports or we started to see our films, the Western films kind of like catering towards the Chinese market and really kind of like push, I don't know, like themes that they respond to, but usually like you said, there'll be films that do well here that just bomb there.
Superhero films I don't think are very popular.
Yeah, but there'll be the films that they make do very well in their country, but they struggle to break into the West.
Yeah.
So there was this one film called Legend of Ravaging Dynasties, which is a literal translation, so I assume it would mean something else entirely when you put it all together in Chinese. Made over $55 million since opening in September of last year. And that was a fan vehicle film.
That's incredible.
That was a fan film.
I think Hollywood's got a lot to learn then, actually.
Yeah, and I think they are learning, because Great Wall, the new film coming out, or is it out now? One with Matt Damon.
Soon, yeah.
It is co-produced by American film company Universal Pictures and joint produced with the Chinese streaming service Leiko, it was directed by Zhang Yimou, who directed House of Flying Daggers. He also is probably the only kind of like success story of the Chinese Hollywood crossover in terms of directing. And he also did a 2011 hit, which was kind of like a romantic kind of like war film called The Flowers of War, which starred Christian Bale, which I never heard of.
Yeah.
And it had Christian Bale in it, and it was a Chinese film.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Oh yes, I've seen the DVD for that film actually.
Yeah.
You see, there you go. I think it's about bringing it together now. And then if you say they're working together to try and improve, well, Chinese film industry is getting there now. But if it helps Hollywood catch up a little bit,
I wonder what's going to happen in the political, social climate right now in America as well with Donald Trump and his xenophobia. I mean, okay, you're listening to the politics block with Jamie and John. So yeah, because as much as I hate to admit it, you know, the film industry and entertainment as a whole says a lot about political and social climates at the time. They reflect the times. They're very contextual. I mean, I don't really like it when people get up at the Oscars and do a speech about stuff. I mean, I don't think that's the right place. I think it's done in poor taste.
I'm dreading to think what the Oscars are going to be like.
I think it's done in poor taste, but you got to wonder kind of like what this... I mean, do you think Donald Trump cares about the film industry? I mean, he should do. It's a big one for America. I mean, do you think he even looks at it? I mean...
I think, well... I don't know really because I don't actually try and avoid all this.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about his personal life or what his interests are. But I think it should. I mean, I
think Hollywood will look after itself. Really,
I think it's in its own bubble. I mean, they really don't like him at all, and they don't like him at all. And like I say, I'll be interested what the Oscars do. SAG Awards really slated him last week. The Golden Globes ridiculously slated him. We'll just have to see. I think sometimes there's certain industries that governments shouldn't get involved in. And film and the arts probably is one of them. And that doesn't mean that I think the arts has the right to turn on the government, I think, and turn on other people. It should be unbiased. It should still be, totally unbiased. Like, it still should, like, represent the freedom of speech. Completely.
So,
we'll have to see.
But in terms of, like, China and Hollywood, I mean, I think that's interesting.
I like it. I think it's a really interesting development.
I mean, because, like I said, I really like
that
Chinese culture and
I'd
Japanese
love
culture.
to go to China. I'd love to see
some of my favourite films, although I know they're not Chinese, but they're Eastern, so like the Ghibli films and stuff like that. They're some of my favourite films, and they're kind of like inspired by their culture.
And we were talking yesterday in conversation, not on the show, about Japanese films.
Yeah,
like the original Ring.
Oh yeah,
The Grudge. There is so much about that culture. It's brilliant. I think it's a great. Films are a great way to get to know other cultures. Just even seeing the locations, and you just think it's the same world we live in, but very different look. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said earlier, like China might the fact that they make such money at the box office might be down to the fact that they are the most populous country in the world with 1.381 billion
was that
people.
Oh god.
In the country, but also interestingly, because we were talking about freedom of speech, China is governed by a communist party. So I mean, that's interesting.
That's very interesting, actually,
because it's not the America's the land of the free, liberty.
But now it's
and it's China's up and coming, and that's a communist run state. I mean, I don't know what it's like in China. I can't really speak for it, but
it's also how the government are working with the
censorship, stuff like that. I mean,
they must implode a lot of rules against what they can show. But it's
an emerging market. I think it's an emerging world market.
It also says a lot about them. If they can get away with stuff, then they can actually not be restricted by what the government say or not. If they think that they can get away with it and still be popular, that's a good sign for Hollywood. That's a really good sign for America.
But yeah, China is just up and coming. I mean, this is completely off topic, but also the Chinese Super League, which is football.
Yes.
They're kind of like really investing in Western football, and they're like everything about that country is up and coming right now. But that's just about sums up all the bits of news and little tidbits of information we got.
Yeah.
And even though he's not here, we still have to fulfill our duty of finding Ben a date.
Yes.
So basically, because he's not here, and for those who don't know, maybe you're tuning in for the first time. If so, I'm sorry. But what we do is we go to our good friends at BuzzFeed. We get a BuzzFeed quiz because we all know that they're the best way to find out bits of information about yourself.
Oh, soul searching, go to BuzzFeed.
Yeah, go to BuzzFeed. They'll really tell you about yourself through these quizzes, the medium of these quizzes. But because he's not here working, we're gonna John's gonna channel his inner Ben.
All right, lads.
Yeah, he's gonna take the role of Ben. He's going to think like Ben. He's going to become Ben.
Oh, what? Oh, come on.
I know. Just this once, okay? Just this once. Yeah. And the quiz that we're going to do today, we're going to find out how much does Ben Pye really hate feelings.
Oh, what?
I mean, I find this quite contradictory title, actually, because hate is a very strong feeling, the feeling of hate. So, do you hate hating?
What? Yeah, all right.
You're doing good. That's okay. It's very good. I mean, you're not really going to know Ben Pye very well, but he's doing a very good job because he's like the most laid back, doesn't really care about anything, kind of approach to everything. So here we go.
Don't know what he means though.
How do you react when someone is crying? Do you rush to them, ask what's wrong, and comfort them until they're okay? Check if they're okay and leave them to it? Awkwardly try to pat them on the shoulder or something? I'll sit there feeling a little uncomfortable until they stop crying.
What? Let me just...
Okay, we'll go from the top again.
Yeah.
Rush to them, ask what's wrong, and comfort them until they're okay. Check if they're okay and leave them to it. Awkwardly try to pat them on the shoulder or something. Or sit there feeling a little uncomfortable until they stop crying. Which would you do, Ben?
Check if they're okay and then leave them to it.
Do you think? Yeah? Do you think that?
Yeah.
Check if they're okay, leave them to it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. No? Okay. How do you feel about people who cry at weddings?
Ugh.
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Now think very hard about this one, okay? Because I think, deep down, Ben's quite an emotional person. He's a family man. We made sure of that on his dating profiles. We're like, get them pictures in with you and your family. Yeah. So, actually no, thinking about the question again. How do you feel about people who cry? So it's not him who's doing the crying. Yeah, it's
other people crying.
Okay, yeah. I'm one of them. I completely get it, even if I don't always cry. I kind of understand, but wouldn't do it myself. I honestly don't understand it.
I say I completely get it, even if I don't always cry.
Yeah, I think Ben Pye would cry. I think Ben Pye's a bit of a crier.
Yeah.
Like, because I think it was on the BuzzFeed quiz last week. One of the questions was, when was the last time you cried? And he said he had the choice of like, can't even remember, and then like a few months, a few weeks, a few days. Yeah. I think he went for a few months, so he could remember the last time he cried. So
there you go.
There we go then. So I completely get it, even if I don't always cry. How would you describe having a crush on someone? Exciting, a little scary, fun, horrifying, or annoying? I think he'd...
Fun?
Yeah. I think we're on the same wavelength here.
Yeah,
I think he'd...
fun.
He'd describe having a crush on someone as... He'd be like, yeah, it's just a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's literally what he'd say. Yeah, it's just a bit of fun. How do you feel about public displays of affection?
Ugh.
No, I know for a fact that he hates this.
Yeah.
Can't stand it in any capacity.
Yeah.
But I'd put a comma here and probably put unless I'm the one doing it.
Okay.
I think he'd be okay with that if he was the one doing it.
Yeah.
But if you're ever like walking down the street with Ben and you've got like your phone out or something, he hates that. He hates that. He wants your full attention on him.
Okay.
So you're having a bad day and not feeling too great. What do you do? Tell a close friend or two. Get on with the day, but mention it. If someone asks how you're doing, mention how bad a day you're having, but in a jokey way. Tell absolutely no one unless you must. It's between B and C. Because the other day he said he was having a crap day, but he only said when I asked it. But his body language, he was huffing and he was like, And I was like, just tell me what's wrong with you, Ben. Because obviously something's wrong.
I think B, get on with it today, but mention if someone asks how you're doing.
Okay.
I think.
Have you ever cried at a rom-com?
What
do you think Ben's cried at a rom-com? I think he might have.
Really?
A few times, yeah. I don't know. I just get a hunch.
Get a hunch, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he cry at La La Land?
No.
Okay. I'd say maybe a few times.
Maybe a few times. So
it's not one or the other. Not a yes, not a definite no.
Do you regularly tell your loved ones that you love them?
Do you know what? I reckon he's a softie.
I reckon he's a softie, especially towards his mum.
And yeah. He really is like keen on his nephews and nieces and nephews.
Yeah, he loves kids.
Yeah, it's very different to me then. I would say...
I tell them often, but I could do it more. Or I say it sometimes.
I'd say he says it sometimes.
Says it sometimes. Yeah. How do you feel when somebody you don't see in a romantic light opens up to you and confesses their feelings?
What are the options?
Oh God, it's really nice. It can be nice, but a little awkward. It's flattering, but I wouldn't have anything to say back. It's incredibly embarrassing. I don't know.
Well, what's the natural response we would all feel?
Yeah, I feel like this question...
nice, but a little awkward.
It would be a little awkward, definitely. I mean... someone's not gonna open up their feelings to Ben though. Someone's not. That's very raw. It's just not. It's just not gonna happen, is it? Are you the type of person who likes hugs? Bet he hugs me.
Yeah.
He hugs me, but in an ironic kind of way, where it's kind of like he wants me to do something or something, or he doesn't want me to go somewhere, so he'll hold on to me.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Jamie.
Yeah.
I would say...
I like hugs, but only in certain contexts. If I need one because I'm upset.
Probably not that one, actually.
I think this one here, I'll hug friends and family quite happily.
Yeah.
But then I put a comma here and put quite happily out of, maybe for my own gain or out of, ironically hug them or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been told you need to open up emotionally? Nope, I don't think that's ever happened.
I don't think so.
Maybe once or twice when I've been stubborn about telling someone how I feel, quite often, all the damn time.
I'd say top one, actually.
Yeah.
Just part of me says that no.
How do you feel seeing a cute couple together? Oh God, she'd be a bit of disdain, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Bit of disdain, yeah. I feel a bit of disdain.
Yeah.
How many people know private things about you? He doesn't have any private things. Maybe that's the point.
I would say probably a couple of people.
A couple of people.
Yeah.
He has all of his dirty laundry right on the line for everyone to see.
Yes.
Do you believe in following your heart or your head? Heart always. One. Heart, unless there really is serious reason not to. Sometimes my head and sometimes my heart and sometimes my head. It's quite balanced. Head unless I have a strong emotional reaction. Head always.
That's a tricky one. I would say so balanced, actually.
Balanced, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
He's a really unmotivated person when he wants to be. So I don't know whether he follows anything.
Yeah.
When was the last time you cried in front of someone? Oh Jesus! I'm gonna go for the answer that you gave. Oh, okay. So we've got our answer.
The answer was the last month, okay? So you kind of... The result is...
Ben kind of hates feelings sometimes.
It depends on the situation, but you definitely hate feelings at times. You will open up to some people. I can certainly remember the last time you cried, but you are selective with who you open up to and don't like putting yourself in a vulnerable position romantically.
I love that. I love the result. You kind of hate feelings sometimes. It's so uncertain.
It's very much.
It's very
BuzzFeed. You've got a lot of elements to you.
Okay, so far we knew that Ben was a 94% nerd. He was a pessimistic optimist. He was more of a Monica than a Rachel from Friends. And
Brilliant.
Now we know that he kind of hates feelings sometimes. Which, by the way, incidentally, I do have some news to bring on the Get Ben a Date front. He got a reply, or someone sent him a message. Well, he's had quite a few messages, but none of them have really kind of played into our hands.
Yeah.
But one message that he got asked whether being a 94% nerd was a good thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a good thing?
Yeah.
Being a 94% nerd.
Totally a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, so I was happy about that. He showed me that. He was like, someone's actually replied using the information that we gathered from.
I think it works well.
Yeah. I mean, there we go. Have we got Ben a date? No. Have we got Ben chatting to someone? Yes.
So we're getting there. We're getting there, guys. We're getting there.
I mean, I thought it was impossible, but
yes.
I mean, he's proven everyone wrong, isn't he?
Yeah.
So no, we haven't got Ben a date yet.
But we will be updating you when we do.
Yeah. I mean,
it's expanding. At the end of the day, that 94% put on his profile. Someone got a conversation.
I mean, he hasn't come across any like fans of Friends yet. He hasn't really come across anyone who's interested in the fact that he's a pessimistic optimist, because that, to be honest, doesn't really make much sense.
No.
And I doubt he'll have people coming to him being like, oh my god, is it true that you kind of hate feelings sometimes?
Oh Lord, that's just like a headache, a grammatical headache, that is.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't. That's as good as a description of Ben as you're gonna get, really.
Yeah, I agree with
kind of hate feelings sometimes.
We need him back, don't we?
Yeah, we need his kind of hate feelings sometimes.
We do.
Atmosphere. We miss him. We miss him. But the show must go on.
Yes.
And we're quite excited about this next part. I mean, we do this a lot, and it's probably one of the more, I don't know, it's grueling. But when you get a breakthrough, or when you kind of get something that you're excited about, it's one of the greatest feelings.
Yeah.
And that's starting a new project. So basically, what we want to do is, as part of this show, as part of this podcast, or whatever it's going to end up being, we want to generate a project. So we want to, from start to finish, completely on air, we want to come up with kind of like fully plot or fully flesh out characters for an original concept that will come up on air.
And we only have the time in this show to do it.
We only have we'll spend like 20 minutes, maybe 10 minutes every show on it, and we'll be getting like guest opinions on it, and they'll maybe be able to add a few ideas to it. But we're going to have need some kind of moderation, otherwise it'll just run completely out of control, and we'll never get anywhere. So for today's episode, I'm going to generate a genre for us to use. So this will be the genre that we will inform character, it will inform setting, it will inform everything. Are you ready for the genre? The genre that we're going to be doing is horror romance.
Oh, yes, please. Just not Twilight.
Horror romance. That is the genre blender that I've been given, so I'm going to make a note of that. So what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of horror romance?
Beauty and the Beast is the first thing I think of. It's going to have to involve It's going to have to involve an unconventional romance.
An unconventional romance.
Maybe Beauty and the Beast has been done to death. Or maybe it will be a twist. Maybe it'll be the Beast. The woman's the Beast. And the guy is the Beauty.
So, I think before we dive into all this, let's go through, like, what's your process when you sit down? Because I don't know about you, but I rarely sit down and go, okay, I want to start a new project.
Oh, no,
I usually get hit with something. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, that's good. Let's run with it. So so when you've got that idea, say you've got a genre, you sit down, you're there and you're like, I really want to write a horror film, a romantic horror film. What's the first thing that you do in the process?
Well, I certainly, maybe this isn't the right thing, I think about what's been done.
Right.
And think about what hasn't been done.
Right.
Or at least what my idea will be and then twisting it.
Okay.
So horror romance, if I think of horror romance, I think of things like Twilight, well, kind of Twilight. It's not traditional horror, I would say. But things like, sort of like things like in Dracula, it's very romantic. It's very... it's quite rude if you really read into it properly. And then I think from there on, I think about a situation that blends the genres together. So think of something that's horror, think of something that's romantic based, but what is that horror element that's added to it? Mm-hmm. So...
Well, yeah, usually what I do when I come to start a project is I do the same as you, John. I think about what's come, but generally, I just think about it. I just kind of like don't write anything down. I just have the little idea seed in my head, and I kind of just think about it and cultivate it in my head. And
sometimes you can bring ideas from other projects that you've already worked on and realise, oh, this is where it can work.
So, but for this, we don't have the luxury of time.
No.
So let's do a bit of word association. So horror. When I think of horror, and then I add romance onto it, for some reason I'm running with body horror. So a bit like The Thing. Okay. So like that's body horror in that the main horror comes from the contortion of the human body.
Yes.
So I don't know why, but I'm kind of like liking the idea of having like a romance story between kind of like
someone within
mutants, or kind of like some kind of like mutagenic kind of like factor.
Have you seen the film All of Me with Steve Martin? It's an old film from the 80s. It's a bit cheesy, but I quite like it. It's about a man, a woman, and a rich woman who dies, and her ghost goes into the body of Steve Martin, and so she plays both himself and this female character. And I thought, you mentioned body horror. Imagine if there was a relationship between two people. Someone's spirit goes into a body and they fall in love together.
Interesting.
Horror based.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of like other, because I was just thinking about romance between zombies, and that's been done with, what was it, Warm Bodies? Was that the
Warm Bodies? I've not seen, and yeah, Warm Bodies. Was that the one from about the kid from About a Boy and Skins? Nicholas
I think
Hoult.
so. Yeah.
I've not seen that. I need to.
And what's the other one?
Oh, Let the Right One In.
Let the Right One In. Yeah, that's got
kind
elements of it, hasn't it? Yeah, that's.
They're a bit older. They
yeah.
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think now. Of horror romantic. There's romance within horror films.
Yeah, always. I mean, they have elements of
an actual blend.
To have a story of love.
Yeah.
With horror elements. I suppose that's what we need to decide first. Do we want a horror with elements of romance, or do we want a romance with elements of horror? I think a romance with elements of horror works easier.
That would work easier, I think, but I think it would still have to cast a horror.
Yeah.
Because romance is in everything. It's sprinkled everything. Yeah. The same comedy sprinkled in all genres, but nothing would be classed as a genre. So I think the horror needs to come. It's got to be predominantly a horror, because horror is its own genre, its own niche.
So I think if we do it being a romantic story with elements of horror, but it is, like the main pulling power of it would be its horror.
Yeah.
I think let's just peg it back a bit, and we think about rom-coms, and we think of like the general structure of that romance. So you think about it, it always seems to be a guy or a girl in kind of like they're single, always single at the start.
Quite awkward socially awkward.
Yeah, usually quite socially awkward.
Some people
single,
looking for the right person but haven't found it yet.
Yeah, and usually they're always quite stable.
Oh yeah.
They've got like a job, they're doing okay, they've got good friends.
Yeah.
But there's kind of one thing that's missing from their life, and that's the romance. And usually they find that quite early on. They find the romantic engagement quite early on.
But it always goes wrong.
And it messes everything up. Like they might lose their job or whatever. And
start going on one-night stands.
And then it all goes wrong, and then eventually it all comes back round, and they get the girl again, or they get the boy again.
Yes.
That's kind of like the usual formula for like rom-coms.
Yeah.
And then the usual formula for horror. I mean, are there any similarities there? I mean, there isn't. I wouldn't say there's a definitive horror formula.
There's so many, but there's different subgenres in the genre.
You've got like haunted house, you've got zombie, you've got vampire, you've got body horror,
even.
Yeah. Slasher.
I think if I think about something like just to accuse the horror, something like Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Revenge, which is a new film coming out this week actually, is about a pregnant woman whose baby speaks to her and convinces her to go on a killing spree. But that's as a result of losing her husband.
Right.
She loses her husband or the baby's father in an accident. And that's also about grief as well. Mm-hmm. So we could do something along those lines. If you think about Casper. Now Casper's not traditionally horror based; it's a kids' family film, but there's elements of romance in that between Christina Ricci and Casper, which I thought was very, very sad. Something along those lines.
That's brought stuff back.
I'm sorry if I brought back childhood traumas there, Jamie.
But yeah, I mean, so let's just think about the details, really. Should we think of a character?
Yeah, let's think of a character.
Let's think of a character in a situation.
Okay, so we could think about.
Is this going to be the protagonist? Let's do the protagonist.
Shall we make it? Now, horror traditionally, if we're going to be traditional about horror, always it's usually a female protagonist. Usually,
right?
So let's make it a female protagonist for now.
Okay.
If we change the genre.
I mean, whereas that's conventional with horror, that's unconventional with romance.
Except for something like Bridget Jones.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm trying to think now. Think about Annie Hall. That's actually about Woody Allen's character. 500 Days of Summer is really about Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. Yeah. Let's try a female character, but let's not make her Bridget Jones.
Okay. Female lead, not Bridget Jones.
Yes.
So we're not going for that kind of like everything always goes wrong to me, everything bad that always happens to me, very awkward, unlucky in love.
I think someone who's very happy in her being single,
right?
Very happy in her job, but then it hits her that there's a ticking time bomb that is called her life, her youth, her beauty, who she is, or not youth, but just her kind of look in life and the way life's going on and on. There's no man there. Suddenly it hits her that something has to happen. Usually it could be like a death, or an experience where she could have been protected by a partner, but like an experience where she could have been attacked by someone and she didn't have anyone to look after her.
I like the idea of a death, like a death that would kind of like encourage her to make big changes in her life.
Even the death of her father, potentially, or something like that. Or of a male in her life that she worshipped, not only romantically, but someone that she liked and realised actually she wants the same kind of that sort of relationship, but to the next level of a romance.
Okay, so we're looking at someone who's stable in herself.
Yes.
So we're talking about like motivations and goals and stuff for her. So we're saying that her motivation would be to is it maybe like getting this romantic partner for selfish reasons? Maybe she kind of just wants to.
It's what she needs. I think she needs for character to learn. She wants it for. I would say possibly not. Maybe an ego boost to an extent. Not so much an ego boost, but feel like she should do it. Like it's like some of the people. I read an article ages ago about a woman who felt that she should have children because that's what society expects her to do. Now she's got kids and she hates it. So I think what she needs to do is want a boyfriend for the reason of feeling of self-fulfillment, but over time learning that actually she needs it to be a better person. And actually it makes it better.
Maybe, have you seen The Lobster?
Not yet. Is it good?
Yeah, so essentially that's if you can't prove or you're not in a romantic relationship with someone, you get turned into an animal of your choice. So what if we're going off the horror mechanics here, is that if she's, for some reason, if she's not in a relationship with someone, then she gets haunted or she gets...
I like
something like that. But if she's with someone and she truly loves them or whatever, it doesn't bother her.
It could be like a satire almost of like society's pressure on women to have everything and to be in a relationship. But it to
hold down a job.
But it manifests in this monster. It's almost a bit like It Follows. In the not that something's following her, but like it's a kind of symbolizes. It Follows symbolises
sexual pressure on young people.
But then this film is a satire about the pressure on women to have everything, but in a horror way. And she's got the career, but she hasn't got the romance. Yes.
So she's stable and but so is it a haunting? Is it a demon? Where do we want to go?
I think it would have to be. I think it's a haunting of some kind. But it's subtly done in the sense that it hints at what she needs to do. It's almost like the Babadook almost.
So she gets haunted by
an entity of some kind, but it's an entity that represents the sort of modern day pressure on women to have everything.
So it'll only haunt her if she's not
not in a
relationship.
But like in a lot of horror films, sometimes other people will have had this as well. So like in It Follows, it's obviously a change. So the character who's Jay, I think her name is,
right?
She was with her the boyfriend, the guy she had a one night stand with. Then it was going back down the chain. So then this character will have to meet someone who'll say, "Oh yes, this is what happened to me," but there's no explanation of why.
I like that. My mind's going now.
Yeah.
I imagine like, because we're just saying that all they have to be in is a relationship. So I imagine like this character trying to figure out what's going on with her. She may go to other women who may have like said that they've been, like maybe just like a newspaper.
Yeah.
And everyone thought she was crazy, but she knew what she was talking about. And she goes to visit her, and as it turns out, she's in a relationship, but it's abusive.
Yeah.
Like the man is abusive to her.
Yes.
But it's better than being haunted.
Yeah.
And I know that's.
But it's a thing about saying that she's in love with him at the same time, because that's the complex thing, that she's with an abusive relationship, but she still loves him, because that's something you read a lot in articles about that issue. But also in this film, in this idea, the character we've got will not be in a genuine relationship. So she might have one night stands, and then maybe the thing disappears for a little bit. Then she's like, "Oh, I'm bored now. Let's carry on." And then she will actually get it. It'll come back, and then she has to learn. Maybe she's quite a selfish person. Maybe. So then that's a situation where she can actually learn as a person to be better. So what she's trying to do is get rid of this thing, but really her external motivation is to get rid of this entity, but her internal one is to become a better person.
Yeah, or to find someone that will actually respect of who she is.
And I think, make her multi-layered. She's someone who's quite, I would say, got it all, but she's quite insecure. She may come across really confident, but really deep down she isn't. I'm really excited about this.
So also, would we say that that this entity? Oh no, hold on. We'll go back a second. So let's define the rules. So, do they have to be in love with someone? Genuine
in love. It's got to be a sincere love.
Okay.
I think because the entity can smell.
Okay,
I love that bit. The entity can smell. What's the word? Sense. That's I used it.
It can smell.
It can sense someone who isn't sincere. It can sense unsincerity. I'm trying to think of the grammar there. Something when someone's not sincerely or genuinely in love, they can sense it.
I think we should make it so that people can. Like, it doesn't care if you're not in love or not. I think it should just be if you're in a relationship, if you're with someone,
then that's
fine. Because I think that we're hitting on a comment there about how basically people enter relationships even if they don't love someone just because it gives them security.
Oh, I like.
If you know what I mean.
I see what you mean there. Yeah, I like that.
So it doesn't care, but maybe the way to defeat it is to defeat it for good.
Yeah.
Is to actually
fall in genuine love.
Yeah. So who knows?
Because we'd have to have a big anticlimactic Act 3.
Yeah.
With the character facing it head on.
Yeah. So maybe do you think we should have some kind of, like you said, an event, the inciting incident at the start, should maybe be a red herring. Maybe it should be something that she thinks, maybe she did something, and she thinks, oh my God, this is why I'm being haunted.
Yeah.
But when actual fact, it's because she's not in a relationship, and she realises that, and that's a pivotal moment for both the audience and the protagonist. She realises, oh, it's because of this. So maybe there should be something, maybe it should be a death. I don't know.
Or maybe something like...
Maybe her mother dies.
Her mother dies, or a friend's partner dies.
Right.
And... Oh, it's a tricky one, actually. I think, because I'm thinking about the rules of this entity in some ways, because I feel like we need to understand what this entity, when does it, why it haunts. And I think it should haunt women after a certain age.
That's a bit like, it's kind of like becoming very symbolic of menopause. Do you think?
Why not?
Like after you get into a certain time, and people like women especially need to really think about: do I want children
kids or not? Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Because this revenge is meant to be about with the feeling of, the sort of insecure the insecure feelings of being pregnant, having children. So horror, as I always think of it, as showing a genuine human emotion and fear, but through a fear of that is very fantastical, horror, supernatural, paranormal, death, dark side of humanity, and I think this could go somewhere.
So, so do you think there should be something that happens at the start, which kind of like exposes her to this entity?
Yeah, I trying to think of horror films now in their structure. I think something needs to happen though that shows that she's changing, that she's getting older, that she is kind of, she has to think about the future a little bit more clearly. She could be her birthday. It could be her 39th birthday or 40th birthday even.
Something like that, yeah.
And people, she's at whatever her job is. What would you say her job might be?
I think it should be quite a competitive job because maybe, she's being marginalised or pushed out by
younger girls. It has to be an office party. They've surprised her with a party.
Right.
And all the girls are there. It's almost a blow because she's going to get fired or something. It's a soft blow because she's going to go and get fired. And so in the end...
A bit like Falling Down,
yes,
where they put... for that character, the detective character, it's his last day on the job.
Yeah.
And they throw him a party and kind of like, it's almost a bit like, not happy birthday, it's kind of a bit like, can you please go now, old man? Yeah. That's kind of what it felt like, really.
Yes, that's the sort of thing.
So we're gonna represent her at the start as being...
successful, but
as being successful,
but definitely being pushed out.
But being slowly pushed out.
Yeah.
Maybe she's thinking about how old she is. She's thinking about. Yeah. She's starting to think about death. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe she's starting to think about.
Just thinking about future. Yeah, maybe something like her mother's died, so it's not. Yeah. Yeah, it could be a mother's death.
Because if you think about It Follows again, at the start, you meet a girl she's thinking about sex a lot. She's thinking about a relationship. She's thinking about all that stuff. She's kind of like, it's done through symbolism and the cinematography, but it's very obvious that she's a girl who's reaching the age where she starts to think about them kind of things.
Yeah.
So she can be thinking about, our character can be thinking about her future. She can be thinking about whether she wants kids. About whether she wants to start a family or not, because something's got to give.
Yeah, and I think there could be some commentary in the early scenes about, although she is successful and liked upon by her colleagues, there will be some people who look down on her for not having children.
Yeah,
and I think that could be.
And there'll be some people who can't think that who'll think that she can't do both. And the whole point of the film is to prove that maybe she can.
Yeah. I think I think she needs to develop as a character. I think she can do it.
So what do you think her weakness is, her fatal flaw?
I would say probably her kind of... I think she's quite stubborn.
Stubborn? Yeah, that's a good one actually, because obviously and the antagonist should be able to exploit her fatal flaw.
Yeah. I think she's someone who can use it at the right times. So sometimes if someone's disrespecting her, she can be stubborn and say, I don't really care. But then sometimes if someone's being sincere and suggesting, no, I think you should think like this, I think you should do this, but it's a genuine wanting to help her, she'll still say, oh no, I'm not listening to you. Right. So I think I agree that the entity can exploit that.
The entity can exploit that because not only is it supernatural, and she'll be like very dismissive of the supernatural at first. Do you think? Because she's stubborn. Yeah. She's set in her ways, and she'll notice all these strange things happening to her. Yeah. And she'll kind of like, there's nothing logical about it at all, and she'll struggle with that. Yes. Because maybe she's a logical, stubborn person. Yes. But what she needs most is to kind of realise that we live in an illogical world, and sometimes you just need to like just break the rules.
Yeah, break the rules sometimes, and to kind of not play.
Yeah, not play
everybody's expectations of you.
Yeah,
I like that. I think that because sometimes fatal flaws I always think of fatal flaws like everyone's fatal flaw. It can be used in the right time. Sometimes it can be used correctly, and sometimes it can be used wrong. And that's what we need to show here.
Right. Well, I think we've done it. We've
done 20 minutes.
Yeah, we've done 20 minutes on that. I think we should keep it to 20 minutes every time, just to stay fair. So we've got a protagonist and we've got an antagonist, and I'm happy with them.
I'm happy with them. So, I think we'll develop. I think we're saying we can develop this idea to a degree. But I think that if we like this idea enough and feel it's fully fleshed out, we can go write it.
Yeah, we could definitely.
I'm really excited. I'm genuinely very excited about this.
Good.
Oh, yes. Hope Ben will be as well.
Yeah,
he'll have to put up with it even if he doesn't like it. Sorry, Ben.
No, I'm sure he'll try and put his little stamp on it. Yeah. But yeah,
yes.
That was the first. I mean, we're gonna have to think about titles and everything and stuff like that. But that is for a later episode.
I've really enjoyed being back. That's been a good first week back.
Yeah, welcome back, John.
Thank you.
We'll be back next week
with Ben,
with hopefully the full crew.
Yes.
This has been the Writer's Block.
And you're listening to Pulse Radio. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Brilliant. Catch us on YouTube as well, by the way. If you just YouTube The Writer's Block, we may or may not come up, depending on YouTube algorithms. But as we add more videos, we'll be higher up the search list.
And please share this podcast around. So if anyone can't listen to it now, you can listen to it in the future. Thank you for listening to us today.
Thanks a lot. Good night.
Bye.